AEW Fyter Fest will be taking place live Wednesday night on TNT, as Tony Schiavone likes to say. It's going to be night one of the two-night spectacular that is Fyter Fest, and the card is interesting because we got some big matches and some matches that like I was really surprised to see, honestly, because I thought these would be more so pay-per-view matches, but we're gonna get into it. Let's look at the card.
Feels like they're not saving anything for night two.
I mean, we'll cover night two eventually, but here's the card. Brian Cage will be taking on Ricky Starks for the the FTW World Title. Yaku Sazaki will be taking on Penelope Ford in a match. We also have Christian Cage against Matt Hardy to extend their feud. Big Money Matt Hardy, of course, going to be flanked by all of his cronies. Darby Allin will be taking on All Ego Ethan Page in a coffin match. And finally, it's going to be Jon Moxley defending his IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship against the Machine Gun, Karl Anderson. What a main event that's going to be. What a card it's going to be. Trevor, this is a regular Dynamite, by the way. This is not a pay-per-view.
No, it's not.
Just overall impressions of this card, impressions of Fyter Fest.
I love Fyter Fest. This is my, I think this is the second year for it, right? Or is this the third year for it, Fyter Fest?
No, this is the third year because they did it their first year as well.
That's right. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I love Fyter Fest. It's so entertaining. But like I was saying a minute ago, like I feel like they're taking all the good matches, putting on night one. I don't feel like there's anything left for night two, but because this card is super stacked. I can't wait to watch any of these. I can't wait to go through these, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time, and let's go through it. Let's start with Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks for the FTW World Title. Preface this by saying that the FTW World Title is not recognized officially by AEW. It is like one of those, it's like this means personally, it's a personal thing between Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. Brian Cage has been feuding with his members of Team Taz, specifically Ricky Starks, over the past number of weeks over antics and being involved in his matches and just overall disagreements. Like, we've seen this Brian Cage kind of blow up on Team Taz a few times over the past few months, so this is kind of the culmination of that. And Ricky Stark's been cutting some amazing promos, calling out Brian Cage's wife, saying the W in FTW stands for your wife, Brian. It's been a time and a half, and I'm excited to see this. Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage. What do you think about this match?
I read in a chat once recently, a couple months back, they were talking about, and I think I was watching one of these type videos. They were talking about how Ricky Starks reminds them of a broke Rocky Maivia when he was in the Attitude Era, like when he first comes
broke Rocky Maivia,
and I'm like, what?
The dude had like what was The Rock always say? He's like, I went to WWE with like $5 in my pocket, like
right, like I mean,
how much broker can you get? That's
exactly. So they're both broke. Like what? I mean, but anyway, I think I've mentioned on like one of the earlier shows and segments that we talked about Ricky Starks. I wasn't a big fan of him, but he's actually grown on me. His athletic ability is amazing. I feel like he's getting a lot better on the mic. I feel like he was always good on the mic, but he was never great. And I feel like he's getting that extra put. I feel like he's doing a lot better. Brian Cage, great talent. I enjoy Brian Cage. I think it's gonna be a very good match. I'm waiting to see how their chemistry goes in the ring and how it pans out. But I think it's gonna be a good match.
I think so. Yeah, I think so too. I think Brian Cage is the machine. Brian Cage, as they call him. It's gonna be a bit of a showcase for him, and the ability to showcase him, I think, on this level is going to be good. I'm glad they're putting the FTW title on the line, even though it's not like a recognized title. It means a lot to these two because that's been like Brian Cage's baby for such a long time, and Ricky Starks are trying to take it away from him. So again, there's stakes. Even if they're not official, there's stakes, and that makes professional wrestling so much better. I love this. Ricky Starks been cutting so many good promos lately.
He
I'm
really
going
has.
with Ricky Starks. I'm going with the upset here. Going with Ricky Starks. He's going to take the FTW World Title away from Brian Cage, and Brian Cage is going to have to fight to get it back.
So I honestly, like you, I was listening to what you said, and I kind of I'm going to piggyback off that. I believe this is going to be a showcase for Brian Cage, but I believe it's going to be a showcase or a coming out party for Ricky Starks as well. And with that being said, I have Ricky Starks winning the belt.
Okay, all right. See, you're learning from me. I love to see this. Let's move on. The next match is going to be Yaku Sazaki versus Penelope Ford. It's just a singles match, but you know we saw Yaku Sazaki in the women's eliminator. She's been on Dark Elevation a little bit. She's been with the company. She's been a bit of a standout. I like the work that she's been doing. Penelope Ford. Is like also, you know, she's been underutilized, I think, in the ring. They don't use her much. She's basically a valet at this point for her husband, and I think this is good for her too, because it's kind of separating her from just being a manager into using her to her full ability, which is also a wrestler, because she's also a pretty good wrestler. I think so, but Yuka Sasaki is, I think, very underrated, and I can't wait for her to get the showcase.
I think Sazaki. I've seen her before a couple times, and also the Woman Eliminator and indie promotions as well. I think and Penelope Ford, a word I can't say. She's doing. I think she's an amazing wrestler as well. I'm glad they're actually allowing her to start wrestling. Like and that's one thing about AEW. Like, and I'm glad that they're doing it. Like, you see people walk around like as valets and stuff like that, and then now they're actually using them as actual wrestlers, and I love that. I love that they're actually using all their talent, and this is going to be a good showcase for both wrestlers. I can't wait to see it.
It is going to be emotional, as everyone's favorite WWE cameo, Vinnie Jones, used to say. I think so too. I'm going to pick Sakazaki. I'm sorry, I mispronounced her name.
Oh, yeah.
Sakazaki is going to win this match over Penelope Ford, in my opinion. Going to be a good showcase for her. Move on. Let's talk about the big money match with Big Money Matt Hardy going to be taking on Christian Cage, a culmination of a feud that's 25 years in the making. They have played this up a lot. Matt Hardy and his group have been coming out and attacking Christian Cage ever since Double or Nothing. And we've seen Christian Cage cut some really emotional promos talking about the history between these two. I'm glad they're incorporating that as well, you know, because, look, we know the history. Why not mention it?
Right.
I think this is going to be a great match. You know, these are two veterans who know each other so well. I think it's going to make it even better, and people care.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. Like, the whole mentioning of the feud and go into deep description of the feud. But yeah, the whole mention of the feud, the commentators mentioning it, and talking about it. Jim Ross like saying, "I remember when this happened and that happened." It's really good. It's a great build up, and that's why we watch wrestling. We watch wrestling for the stories to culminate in the ring, and in the actual match to tell a story. And this is definitely going to tell a story.
Absolutely. That being said, I think I see this is one that I'm not sure about, Trevor, because this could go either way. This legitimately could go either way, because you might want to build this for longer. You might want to just do this as a one-off, but this has been a bit of a blood feud between these two, right? Like,
I was kind of thinking the same thing. I'm kind of picking Matt in this one.
Why is that?
Only because, like you said, so you have two people that have legitimately wrestled before in other promotions, and you have a feud that's building. When you think about that feud, who has had the upper hand in this feud? If you look at it, Christian and Edge have kind of had the upper hand in the feud with the Hardy Boys. They've won more matches from what I remember. So you have Matt win the first one, and then you keep the feud going. Keep the feud going. You have something you can build on at All Out. You have something you can build on a future special Dynamite. Like maybe put it in a no holds barred match, or a special stipulation. You have something you can build on. And so far, AEW has been pretty good with that.
So you're going with Matt Hardy, just to be sure.
Yeah, I'm going with Matt with this one.
All right. That means I'm going with Christian Cage because you're always wrong. So Christian Cage will win in this big money match against Big Money Matt.
Says the man that said that Jungle Boy was going to get turned on.
Hey, that's damn good booking, Tony Khan. You better pay attention to this show. Like, he always steals all my other ideas. He named the show after my backyard wrestling show. Like, I want... Cease and desist, Tony. Cease and fucking desist. Let's move on, Trevor, and talk about the Coffin Match, the big match right here between Darby Allin and All Ego Ethan Page. The build-up to this match has been beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'm glad they gave it that extra time to kind of simmer. They didn't really jump the gun and do it at Road Rager because I think that would have been a little too early. You wouldn't get the amazing shoot or the amazing promo that Ethan Page and Darby Allin cut in that interview segment with JR, where Ethan Page just talked about how much he resents Darby Allin. He resents that Darby Allin had to work like just a little bit to get just as far as Ethan Page, even though Ethan Page had been doing it for 12 years before him. He resents Darby Allin's success, and he wants to bury it. And he wants to bury him in a coffin on Fyter Fest Night 1. Trevor, I've loved the build-up. I love these two and their feud. You have been a fan of this feud for much longer than I have. Tell me about it. What's going to happen in this match? Talk about the build-up, too.
Can't wait. Yo, so the build up for this is, like you said, just amazing. Like, and one of the things that I was hoping they would do when they announced Ethan Page was even, in AEW, was that they would ignite that feud, reunite those two, and try to restart the feud that were going on years ago. It's those matches. If I'm not even sure you had a chance to honestly go back and watch them, Omer, but those matches are brutal. They're so good. Like, the chemistry between these two, they both sell everything. Like, if you knew nothing about it, you would think they were really fighting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that brutal. It's actually poetry in motion is the best way they have. I've heard commentators describe beautiful matches. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. And when you catch lightning in a bottle like that, you gotta see if it happens more than once. And so far, it's happened twice. So let's see if it can happen one more time. This match is, I'm looking forward to this match. I'm very looking forward to this match, and I can't wait to see how outrageous it gets.
I'm right there with you. I can't wait to see what happens. I think this match is... I'm so excited. I think this should be the main event. It's probably not going to be because I know Tony likes to put the title matches on last usually. But that being said, this is the match that I'm tuning in for the most. Darby Allin is probably the most over person, one of the most over people in AEW, which is saying a lot. Ethan Page, I think this is a big match for him, big test for him to see how much he can not just grab people's attention, but really show people that he's a fucking dog. He's a player in this game. And I think this is going to be a brutal match, like you said. Tony Khan has not shied away from showing brutality at these big moments on AEW Dynamite, and I think it's going to be no different. The expectations are very high, though. I will say that. The expectations are very high for this match. And AEW, as seldomly, they have done it a few times, disappointed in these moments.
Yeah,
unfortunately. I don't think it's going to happen with this match. These two are just too good. They know each other too well. I'm picking Ethan Page because I think he made the challenge. He's the heel. And I think this would do a lot more for Ethan Page at this point than Darby Allin. Although I know AEW usually likes to go with the good guy in these situations. I'm going with Ethan Page because that's who should win.
I don't think that's a bad pick at all, actually. I think, honestly, I'm going to go with that one. Go with Ethan Page as well.
Yes. Learn from the smart one, the intelligence, the professor.
Shut up. I think only because, like you said, this will do more for Ethan than it would do for Darby. But they could throw could throw a curveball in there and let Darby win it. Because honestly, could you imagine a coffin drop on a coffin? Like, it'd be amazing.
Into the. This is the finish. That's the finish. Darby goes for a coffin drop into the coffin. Ethan Page shuts the lid. Boom. Money. Tony, pay me. Let's move on and talk about Jon Moxley versus Karl Anderson. Moxley will be defending his IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship against the Machine Gun, Karl Anderson. This is going to be Karl Anderson's one of his first, I believe, singles match since leaving WWE. His first, at least, in AEW that I know of. So it's going to be it's a huge match for him. He was the IWGP champion before, or US champion before. That was like the belt he ran with when he was in the Bullet Club. So he's kind of looking to get his belt back. Moxley, we haven't seen him since the Young Bucks triggered him to death, basically, at Double or Nothing. So we're going to see him return, maybe reignite this feud with him and the Elite. What do you think about this match? There hasn't been too much of a build-up. There was just a promo on Dynamite the week before, but I don't really think you need much of a build-up with these two competitors with the storyline they've already built, honestly, against the Elite and Moxley. What do you think about going into this match, though?
Honestly, dude, it's going to be a good one. Again, like you said, I haven't seen Anderson fight singles competitor in, like, shit, it's been a while, right? Because they didn't do singles over in Impact when they went to Impact.
No, they just won the Impact tag titles, remember?
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see because I always thought Karl could go. Such a great worker. But it's gonna be great to see this match. I honestly love watching Moxley wrestle. I think he's one of the better wrestlers on AEW. Karl Anderson is a good wrestler too. I think it's another one of those feuds that the story is gonna tell itself in the ring. Yeah, it's gonna be a good match. If I'm picking who's gonna win, I still say Moxley because I don't believe this belt is gonna change hands on an event that's not New Japan.
You really think so? You don't think they'll do that?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they. At this point, since Tony Khan is talking with them, maybe it's a good chance. But you have one of the most over wrestlers that owns one of your belts. I mean, I love.
Fair. That's fair. You gotta leave Moxley as the big box office draw if you're New Japan. That makes sense. With that being said, Karl Anderson probably is gonna win anyway. Even if
you're probably right. You're probably right.
But because I mean, look, it's Jon fucking Moxley. Unless they screw him, that's the storyline they could do. If they screw Moxley, the Elite screw Moxley out of the belt, that has the potentiality to maybe lead up to a big match between Moxley and Anderson at a pay-per-view for New Japan. That's possible.
Right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Yeah,
that would make perfect sense. And look, that would create an even bigger mess, because think about this, Trevor. In 2021, this match is so special. We have an AEW competitor, Jon Moxley, defending a New Japan belt against an Impact Wrestling competitor.
Right.
At an AEW TV show. What? Like, if you had told me this like a few years ago, I would never have believed this could be true.
No, I would never believe
it. It is just insanity that this is happening. That all being said, Moxley is probably going to win. I think you keep him as a champ. You might even see him kind of take out the Elite a little bit, get some help from Penta and Eddie Kingston as well. So that's at least what I think.
Yeah, I honestly believe that Moxley's going to keep the belt. They could, like you said, they could throw a wrench in there and the All Elite come down and screw Mox out of the title. I mean, but as long as Eddie Kingston and the boys in the back, he still has a fighting chance. So there's a lot that can factor into that.
Absolutely. I think this Fyter Fest is going to be one hell of a show. I'm so excited. Like these AEW knows how to put together a card. What a card this is. Like, it's amazing.
Dude, it's just a Dynamite. Like you said, it's not even a pay-per-view. It's a Dynamite.
Like, it's going to be crazy. I love Fyter Fest. And we got 2 nights. two nights, double the fun, maga. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.